Last night, the president called on Congress to pass almost a $450 billion plan to boost employment as this nation struggles with the highest jobless levels in more than a quarter century. Now, my next guest was at the Capitol for that speech last night, a member of Obama's Jobs Council. From Washington, Steve Case, founder of AOL and current chairman and CEO of Revolution. Steve, welcome to InBusiness. Is there a particular part of this jobs plan that you feel you had your fingers on?
Well, we don't want to take credit for anything specifically, but we certainly like the fact there was a focus on the role of small business and entrepreneurs. They really are the big job creators. The last 30 years, all the net jobs, 40 million jobs, have come from high-growth entrepreneurial companies. So getting more focus in Washington on the role entrepreneurs play and making sure we build bipartisan support for policies related to entrepreneurship really is the main event from my perspective. I thought the president began to lay the groundwork for that. It was sort of a down payment in terms of what's necessary for entrepreneurs.
And what is that necessary for entrepreneurs? Because you don't turn unemployed construction workers into computer engineers overnight. There's a gesture towards education, there's a gesture towards speeding up payments. What happens in the next 90 days?
Well, the short-run things that were announced last night relate to trying to create some tax incentives for small business and do make it easier for small businesses to work with the federal government. There'll also be some things that will be unveiled, I think, next week related to access to capital. Talking to the SEC about relaxing some of the restrictions related to angel funding, crowdsourcing. Also looking at ways to relax the restrictions on Sarbanes-Oxley rules on IPOs, so it's easier for these entrepreneurial companies to go public. In the long run, there's some other things we need to do, particularly related to high-skilled immigration. We want to make sure our nation really is a magnet for the best and brightest, and they stay here and build companies here. So there's a lot of things to be done, but I thought last night was a step in the right direction, laying a plan out that talks about jobs in the short run, but also begins to talk about a sustainable solution, which really has to be around entrepreneurship.
You've built many businesses and been very successful in doing that. Frankly, I mean, has tax policy really been the decision point for you in the past as to whether you hire or what you do next with the company?
It's a factor. There's many factors. I'd say the main one is really getting people confident about the future and certain about the environment. So getting people in this town, Washington, D.C., working together in a bipartisan way and passing legislation that does create a roadmap for entrepreneurship is the most important thing to be done. And hopefully there will be something that can build bipartisan support this fall. We're working through the Jobs Council. I chair a subcommittee on high-growth companies. We're working with outsiders like McKinsey to really put together an entrepreneurial roadmap that we believe should and will get bipartisan support, and that will be presenting to the president in a few weeks. So there's still more to be done, but I think that last night was a step in the right direction in terms of getting more focus on small business, more focus on entrepreneurship as the best way to create a sustainable solution around jobs and the economy and also our national competitiveness.
How many jobs do you expect to be created from this initiative if it goes forward as proposed last night?
Well, I'll let the White House give the statistics in terms of the jobs. I'm not going to get into the details on that, and obviously depends on what the Congress ends up deciding to do. I was pleased that there was some bipartisan support for components of the plan last night, and we'll see over the coming days what's possible there. Hopefully, the Congress will recognize this is a time to come together. I think, frankly, the country is quite frustrated by what's happened recently, particularly around the debt ceiling, and now is a time to come together. The job issue is an important issue. The economic issue is an important issue, and anything more significant is our nation's future in a much more competitive global world. So we've got to get the right policies in place regarding innovation. And for me, it's particularly focusing on the central role entrepreneurs have played. Really, over the last 200 years, they've built America. All the Fortune 500 companies started as startups. And we really need to get back to a focus on the role those entrepreneurs play and reduce the regulation, reduce the taxes, and just make it easier for them to start and scale companies here in America.
Steve Case, thank you so much for your time. Steve Case on the President's Jobs Council joining us from the White House this morning.